Now the next classification of sedimentary rocks is actually on the basis of their mode of formation, and according to that we can say that the sedimentary rocks are of basically three types, right, according to their formation. Number one is mechanically formed or clastic rocks, okay, mechanically formed sedimentary rocks. Number two is organically formed sedimentary rocks, and number three is the chemically formed sedimentary rocks. Okay, now let's talk about all these one by one. Now first of all, when we say the clastic sedimentary rocks, or we also call it the mechanically formed sedimentary rocks, what are these now? Whenever the rocks are formed, these sedimentary rocks are formed in such a way that no chemical process is involved in it, okay, or no involvement of any living being can be seen there. So such rock which is formed in that way is called as mechanically formed sedimentary rock. You can take the best example as sandstone. So in this case you will find no chemical process is taking place, right? And conglomerates are another example besides sandstone. Conglomerate, you will find a type of clastic sedimentary rocks, and these have got coarser grains and they come together, and as a result of that, one cementation, actually one element works in binding all the particles together, and then the result is conglomerate. So this is again one example of clastic mechanically formed rocks. So this is the first one. Now the other one is chemically formed sedimentary rock. These rocks are formed as a result of like any chemical process, and quite often you'll find the process which are involved include the solution, right? And from solution, when the particles get evaporated and these result into the formation of a rock, that is called chemically formed sedimentary rock. Why? Because the solution itself is a chemical process, right? It is also taken as a chemical process. So whenever any chemical process is involved in it, that is called as chemically formed sedimentary rock. Now come to the third one, that is organically formed sedimentary rock. These are formed from the remains of once living plants and animals, or you can say the remains of plants and animals, like corals. You can take the example corals. Now these are actually these are formed out of the remains of any of the living beings. Mostly you will find the calcium content is too much in that, so they result into the formation of corals and all. And these are, that's why, because the organic, you can say some organism is involved in it, right? It can be, right, it is okay that it once these living organisms were surviving, right? So anything it may be, any particle of living organism, any part of it, when it is involved in its formation, in the formation of a rock, that is called as organically formed sedimentary rock, because some organisms have contributed in it, okay, in its formation. And corals, chalk, these are the best examples of it. Now the classification on the basis of agents of formation. Now what does this mean? On the basis of the transporting agents, like you must have heard in the beginning also, I told you that various agents of gradation, when they carry the weathered particles or the sediments of rocks from one place to the other, and they deposit all these sediments, that results into the formation of a rock which is called as sedimentary rock. So what about these agents? Basically, you will find the 4 or 5 agents are there, 4 or 5 agents of weathering, you can say weathering, erosion or gradation we call it. So these agents, basically what they do, suppose weathered particles are there at one place, now it's the role of these agents, right? And out of all these agents, 3 are belonging to the aqueous rocks, or you can say mainly these are related with the water bodies. Number 1 is marine rock, number 2 is lacustrine, number 3 is riverine. Okay, marine rocks means these are related with the sea waves or the ocean waves. Okay. Number 2 is lacustrine, means it is related with the deposition done by the lake water. Okay. Number 3 is riverine. It is the result by any ways by the work of river. Okay. So all these 3 are related with the water in some or the other way. So these are called aqueous rocks. And the 4th one is glacial rocks. These are naturally, by the name only it's very clear, these are the result of glacial activities. And the 5th one is the Aeolian. Aeolian is always the result of the work of wind. Right? So let's discuss all these one by one. Number 1 is marine sedimentary rocks. These are formed due to deposition and consolidation of sediments in the oceans and seas. Right? And these are called as the marine rocks. And most of the marine rocks you will find, these are organic sedimentary rocks. You can take the example of chalk, you can say limestone and all these. These are mostly the organic sedimentary rocks also. Now the next one is riverine rock. Riverine sedimentary rocks are those which are formed due to deposition of sediments in the riverine environment. That means related to rivers. Okay, near you can say on the banks of river or at the base of the river. Right, the sediments may be deposited in the beds of the rivers or in the floodplains. So that again is called as riverine rocks. Then next one is glacial rocks. Glacial rocks are formed by some glacial activities. Okay, so these are formed by the glacial deposits in the form of debris or tills. We generally call it till also, right? Or many times we say the deposition done by glaciers as moraines. Right? So these are a few terms given to it. Now the glaciers, when they erode the surface and the sides of a valley and transport the eroded materials further, they deposit all these at one place, and that when it results into the formation of a rock, that is called as a glacial rock. Okay, so this is clear to you. And now come to the next one, lacustrine. Lacustrine rocks are found on the bed of a lake, as I said in the earlier part, corresponding to successive periods of deposition, right? And this results into the formation of a lacustrine rock. Now the next one is Aeolian. Aeolian is the result of wind, right? These rocks are formed with sand particles brought by the winds, and the deposition of sand particles one over the other makes them hard and form a sedimentary rock by Aeolian, or you can say the activities of wind. So it is called Aeolian rocks, and one of the best examples of it is again sandstone. Now the next rock which we have to discuss here is the metamorphic rock, which is the third type of rock which we find on the earth. Okay. Now the term actually metamorphic, the term has come from a process which is called metamorphism. Right. Now what is metamorphism? It is actually the alteration of a pre-existing igneous, sedimentary or metamorphic itself, right? Any of the rock is existing, suppose beforehand, and from the earlier existing rock, when its alteration take place, right? Alteration, or you can say under extreme pressure and high temperature, when its features change, and the earlier existing rock, generally we call it as a parent rock, right? That changes into a new one. So its features, its characteristics change into something new. Now this newly formed rock, right, as a result of the process of metamorphism, the newly formed rock is called as a metamorphic rock. So under extreme heat and pressure it is formed. Heat is also not that high that it causes the melting of the rock. It only causes the conversion of the earlier existing rock into a new one. Now you can see here how the metamorphic rocks are formed under extreme pressure of the upper lying layers, right? And as somehow it gets buried deep inside, it goes to a very great depth, and there it starts converting, okay, into a new form of rock. So this is how it is formed under extreme pressure and heat, right? You can see here how these three different type of rocks can be seen in different parts of earth. right? Igneous rock is related to the volcanic activities or a volcano, right? So it is found there or close by. Sedimentary rocks generally are seen near any of the water bodies most of the time, okay? And the third one, metamorphic rock, generally it is seen embedded, or you can say under the surface of earth, because it is always the result of extreme pressure, which is again below the earth's surface, okay, and high temperature, again it is inside. So it is mostly seen below the earth's surface. Rarely it is found on the earth's surface. So basically these three are the regions where these three type of rocks can be seen, okay? Now metamorphic rocks, when rocks are baked by heat of molten magma or squeezed by the movements of huge tectonic plates or by the pressure of overlying different rock layers, they are altered or changed, okay, beyond their recognition. That is, they change in chemical composition, texture and structure, and the resultant rock is then called as a metamorphic rock. Now metamorphic rocks, again, what are the main agents behind its formation? The most important agents you should remember is the high temperature, high pressure, and another one in certain cases, chemically active fluids. Now what are the features or the characteristics of metamorphic rocks? They are hard, right? Always they are harder than their parent rocks, okay? Keep this in mind always. They are harder and more compact than their original form or their parent rock from which they have been formed, okay? For example, we can take the best example. One of the best example is marble and limestone. Marble is actually a metamorphic rock, okay? It is formed from limestone. So limestone is comparatively quite you can say soft rock, but when it converts into a marble, it is much harder than limestone, okay? So this is one of the, you can say, best examples to explain this. Most of them are impervious or impermeable, you can say, which does not allow. What is the meaning of impermeable? Impermeable means a rock which does not allow water to percolate through them or to pass through them. Those rocks are called as impermeable, okay? So most of the metamorphic rocks are very hard and they are impermeable, and they do not have fossils. As what is the reason? As fossils in sedimentary rocks are destroyed during the formation of metamorphic rocks, okay? Extreme temperature and pressure causes the fossils to get destroyed. Now metamorphic rocks are formed due to the change in texture and composition of the pre-existing rocks. And the next point is, there are a number of minerals which are formed during the process of metamorphism, the conversion of one rock to the other, that results into the formation of different precious minerals, okay? Now what are the different types of metamorphism? Especially there are 4 types of metamorphism. Thermal metamorphism is actually the metamorphism in which the more you can say dominating factor is high temperature, okay? Though the pressure and temperature both work in that case, but the temperature is working as a more dominating factor, and that is called as the thermal metamorphism, and the resultant rock is called the rock formed by thermal metamorphism or the thermal metamorphic rock. Here you can see this is the example of thermal metamorphic rock. Because of high temperature, it is causing that, right? And one more, because the rocks which are coming in contact with it, they are also getting metamorphosed, okay? They are also getting actually a part of this process of transformation, and so that is called as contact metamorphism. Whenever any metamorphism take place within a limited area, right, or it is, most of the time it is due to any hard rock or the magma which is there deep inside, in contact with it, if the metamorphism take place, that is called as contact metamorphism, right? It is also many times called as local metamorphism. That means it's limited to a small area. So this is the second one. Third one is, you can say, dynamic metamorphism. Dynamic means it is totally due to the extreme pressure from the upper lying layers, or due to any reason, the pressure is exerted and the resultant rock out of it is called as dynamic metamorphic rock. Here again the temperature works, but its role is very less. Okay, it's not so important, but the pressure becomes more dominating factor, and that's why the resultant rock is called dynamic metamorphic rock. And the last one, the fourth one, is regional metamorphism. Regional metamorphism is actually the result of a large area when it undergoes through this process of metamorphism. Okay, so that results into a large area to be converted into the metamorphic rock, and as it is it has passed through the metamorphism, so it can be said as the rock is the result of regional metamorphism, or the rocks are called as regional metamorphic rocks. So these are the different types of metamorphism. Now, what are the economic significance of rocks? Yes, a few such things we can see around us. Rocks are very important to mankind because they are one of the best sources of fuel and power, right? Number one. Number two, how we can forget that these are the main source of soil. Soil is formed out of the rocks only, right? And without the layer of soil on the earth's surface, we cannot imagine of the you can say the survival of life on earth. Okay, so soil is also very important for us, and it comes from the rocks only. Then several type you'll find number of minerals are coming out of the rocks only. These are extracted from the rocks only, right? Then you can say the salt which we consume, or the salt for industrial activities also, these are extracted from the rocks. Okay, rocks also serve as a source of water supply. These are a rich source of, you can say, the coal, petroleum, natural gas, that is the natural fuel, the fossil fuels. Okay, then these are one of the beauties of nature and therefore can serve as a tourist attraction also. Some rocks contain vast amount of clay and all different type of particles. Okay, so there are different number of uses. When we say economic significance, means we can say here that these are used for the construction purpose, right? Even for the formation of cement and all, limestone, like such rocks are used in large amount. So for construction purpose in both ways it is used. For construction of roads also it's used, right? Then like for the artificial jewelries these days, we are using different type of rocks. Okay, different gems we get out of it. Some precious rocks are being used for special, you can say, for the construction of certain monuments, or even you can say the granite is in great demand these days. Okay, for making the statues also. So these are different uses of rocks. Okay, economic significance of rocks. Now, what is rock cycle? Actually, you know, children, it is believed that in the beginning when the earth was formed, I told you when I was explaining the igneous rocks to you all, at that time it was actually the only rock which was found on the earth's surface, the first rock which was formed. Okay, that was only the igneous rock. After that, slowly and slowly, what happened now? The igneous rock started getting weathered and the particles were taken away, and then the sedimentary rocks were formed. Okay, again, sedimentary or igneous rock, these were somehow, because of some internal movements, these got buried inside, right below the earth's different layers of earth rocks. Okay, and the resultant rock was in the form of metamorphic rocks. So this way, till now, whichever rock we are having on the earth's surface, these are the same rocks which were existing at that time, at the time of its origin. These rocks have not gone anywhere, but they have changed their form. From the earlier rock, they have got converted into some other type of rock. Okay, so how the transition has taken place, like from sedimentary rocks over a period of time disintegrate as a result of weathering and erosion, and these processes break down rock into smaller remains and carry the broken down matter away, and the broken down matter then mixes with additional matter, and then rock that has such multiple and varying constituents is known as sedimentary rock. How the metamorphic rocks are formed? These are formed when rocks are open to soaring temperatures and pressures, or a combination of both, right? It may happen as a result of both. So the result of such exposure can lead to physical and chemical changes in the rocks, and the two type of rocks formed out of it are the regional and contact metamorphic rocks. Same way, how the igneous rocks are formed. These rocks are pushed deep under the earth's surface, and they may melt into magma. Any type of rock it may be, if it is buried inside the earth's surface, right? And slowly it goes further deep inside. Now when it is at that depth where it starts melting, right? So again, what is formed out of it? Magma is formed. Okay, and if the conditions no longer exist for the magma to stay in its liquid state, it starts cooling and solidifying at that depth below the earth's surface only. And in some cases what happens, the magma is able to come out, okay, on the earth's surface. Wherever the crust is weak, this magma breaks the crust and comes out in the form of volcanic eruption. So volcanic activity also causes that in the form of lava to come on the surface, and in both ways the resultant rock by cooling of magma or lava is igneous rock. So when this igneous rock is there below the earth's surface, that is called plutonic rock or intrusive rock. When it is on the surface, that is called extrusive rock or volcanic rock. So you can see how from one type of rock the other rock is formed. Okay, first of all you can see here the melting and crystallization and eruption, and then weathering, then transportation and deposition, then compaction and cementation. This is the process of formation of sedimentary rock. Then again it changes into metamorphism take place, right? Metamorphism is actually, it is resulting into metamorphic rocks. Again it melts, crystallizes and erupts, that forms an igneous rock. Again it weathers, right? Transported and deposited, and compaction and cementation results into sedimentary rocks. So a cyclic movement actually continues like this. Always, since long time, since ages, it is being continued like this. Okay, and this is called as the rock cycle. The other way you can understand in this manner, the rock cycle is a basic concept in geology that describes transitions through geologic time among the three main rock types: sedimentary, metamorphic and igneous rocks. Now you can see here igneous rock. Suppose first igneous rock, when it gets eroded, sediments are formed, right? Sediments are then deposited. You can see here this arrow. The resultant rock is sedimentary rock. Got it? Again it is under heat and pressure, metamorphic rock is formed. Again metamorphic rock melts, magma is formed, and cooling of magma results into igneous rock. Again both ways, igneous rock also changes into metamorphic rock under heat and pressure. Same way metamorphic rock also goes through erosion, and sedimentary rock also goes through erosion. So that results into sediments to be formed. So again these sediments result into sedimentary rock. So somehow these all are interrelated. This is only called as the rock cycle. Okay, so I hope this topic is now very clear to you. And before I leave, before I say goodbye, I must remind you once again that do subscribe the channel, okay? And don't forget to share the link of this video also with your friends, right? And also press the bell icon so that if any such video is being added in this channel, you will get the notification regarding that. Okay, so see you soon in the next video again. Till then, bye.